Welcome, everybody. Thank you very much for attending this session today on this shortened week. I hope everyone had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend and a good shorter week. Wouldn't it be nice if Memorial Day weekends were 4-day weekends? But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and kind of give a presentation on how we help people, or how we look to talk to people about saving time and money with the right time and attendance system. A little bit about me. There we go. There we are. About me, the presenter. I've been in with Sierra for over 13 years now, so I've got a good number of years of experience in the time and attendance field, also dealing with the technology part of that as well. And in my 13 years here at Sierra and in the industry, I've seen a good amount of technology changes or technological advances, and we'll review a little bit of that, or talk a little bit about that today, and how some of that technology can really help an organization, your organization or other organizations, really attain some better time and attendance controls and capabilities. My learning has been really through interactions with customers and learning about the technology and areas of time and attendance. So I just happen to have a fairly good feel for what's going on and what are the trends and what our clients' needs are. Client needs are determined through a lot of conversations, really digging into some needs analysis and finding out what they need and trying to find the right solution for that. A little bit about our company, Sierra Workforce Solutions. We are passionate about providing a broad range of businesses greater control over workforce productivity and improved profitability. And we do that, or we've done that over these years, by looking at different areas and bringing those different areas of time and attendance to customers. And that's going to be the time and attendance software. That's the bulk of it, is having hourly employee information available to managers, their time, their in and out punches, and what that all means in the software, and how to track some of that detail. And part of that solution, the time and attendance software solution, is going to be the different types of time clocks. And there have been a lot of advances in the last few years. There's certainly the old badge swipe devices. There's also now biometrics and different types of biometrics, everything from a hand scanning device to a fingerprint scanning device to a facial recognition. There are also vein reader devices now as well. So there's a lot of ways to have employees be clocking in and clocking out, and those are going to be the time clock systems. There's also workplace security solutions as well, and that really can tie into the time and attendance solution as they work together, those two solutions or those two arenas, to both attain verification that an employee is at the site, as well as where they're at the site as well. And that's really kind of the workforce management tools, different computers, smartphones, different types of devices, the different tools that you need to have to manage your workforce. And for Sierra, we really bring that passion and all of those different ways that we're helping organizations manage the time and attendance through what we consider exceptional support. We've got a really strong support staff, a really strong sense of ownership with our clients. When they need support, they're going to have support, and that is because we're working in a very important area with any organization, the tracking of employees' time and making sure that time is accurate, and so that those employees can get paid accurately and on time. In terms of benefits of automating your time and attendance systems, there are a number of areas that's going to come into play, and that's going to be accurate and timely information, increasing productivity with the employees as we're tracking that time, and then reducing the risk of labor law violations in the system. In terms of that labor law violation, that's going to be automating that workforce process to minimize those compliance risks, and that's going to be making sure employees are paid correctly on overtime, that they work, they take breaks at the appropriate times, that they're taking lunch breaks at appropriate times, that you've got some warnings for things. And really, the big thing that's really coming down the pipe right now is preparing for the ACA regulations or Obamacare. And part of that ACA, the Obamacare, and we've all heard that, or seen those stories about organizations wanting to make sure that their employees are all part-time so they aren't required to offer health insurance or access to health insurance. But part of that is really determining if you're wanting to do that, and then just knowing with that ACA, knowing which employees are truly full-time within the ACA definitions. It's not, I think I know, I need to know that if they're 30. It's really knowing that it's 30 hours per week or 130 hours per month. So even if you're trying to keep them at under 30, if they still meet that monthly criteria, then you're going to want to be able to see that, and a good time and attendance system will give you that capability. And it's also knowing that the government is going to be using a 3-month and 12-month benchmarks for classifying employees, so it's also going to be very important to have a system that's going to keep that information for you on an ongoing basis, so that if you do need to show proof that you've got X number of employees that either meet or don't meet the criteria, you've got that data. With ACA, you're also going to be needing or wanting to set alerts for employees that are within 90 days, because you do need to offer, if you're going to offer the benefits, then you do need to offer that within 90 days. So you're going to want to have a type of system that, instead of not only just doing the time and attendance, is also going to help you stay in compliance with ACA as well as the other labor laws that are out there. And that's going to be centralized wage and hour policies, facilitating your local policy enforcement. So here in California, they've got some very unique rules that you need to follow. There's, for example, in California, anything over 8 is overtime. Most of the rest of the United States, it's anything over 40. So even on something like that, you want a system that will be able to calculate and keep track of that and pay appropriately for employees. You want to be able to ensure, not only for ACA but other labor law issues, that you've got a detailed audit record so that you can know exactly what's going on with your employee time records. And that can be making sure that you know what managers are doing in that system, if they're making adjustments or alterations to employee time cards, that you can see that type of detail. And so a good time and attendance system is going to apply those overtime rules, those other pay rules evenly without prejudice and reducing those risks. What that does, instead of a manual system where the employees might be taking advantage, but they also might feel like they're being taken advantage of, a automated system that is just calculating time based on those actual punches that are coming into the system, the employees will know that they're, or should know, that they're being paid appropriately based on their clock in and clock outs. Part of that automated system is crossing your T's and dotting your I's. Our products do make sure that you are prepared for an audit, and that's going to help an organization avoid costly overtime lawsuits, which are more and more prevalent. And those lawsuits affect large and small companies. It really doesn't matter. We've got, we've seen examples of, say, Levi Strauss paying over $1 million in overtime. A small restaurant in Tampa, Sushi Alive, pays $54,000 in back wages because they weren't tracking their time appropriately and really not paying their employees, obviously, as well. And then you've got mid-sized Novato and Wizen, $209,000 in overtime. And there's story after story about organizations having that issue, and by having an automated labor management system, you're going to, at the very least, reduce the opportunities for lawsuits to occur because you're going to have that system in place. Another way or benefit is that workplace security that I mentioned. The ability to control a facility through a central system that can also tie into your time and attendance system will really help streamline issues. It'll protect proprietary areas, that an access control program, and it's also going to protect the employees, because you're going to be able to see where people are at a glance. if you're using a system like that, that could be tied in with the labor management solution, and just save time with centralized look at the headcount. So when there might be an issue or an emergency, you can quickly see where people might be in the building. You're also able, by securing the building with that security system, protect the employees from issues that might occur. And unfortunately, we live in an age where that has to at least be thought about and perhaps dealt with rather than just ignored. Now, why automate instead of using a good old-fashioned time clock that does that Kerchunk time card, figuring out all that detail, or doing just written timesheets and trusting an employee to enter in the right time? It saves time by not having to look at those spreadsheets and manually keying that information into HR or payroll or accounting databases. It's going to save time. Streamlining saves staff time. Automating the systems helps avoid entry errors, which, while you may catch them, are still costly not only to catch, but costly to miss as well, not paying or paying employees too much, or not paying them enough on time, where you then have to, if you're doing an outsourced payroll, maybe you have to do an additional check run, which any payroll company is going to charge you a premium for not getting your payroll done in one batch, having to do an extra batch. So that will save money. Instant visibility for scheduling and staffing, just knowing where people are and knowing what your staffing needs are going to be. Automating that will really save time, save money by having that visibility. And then being able to audit easily allows fluidity for your workforce, and being able to know, how's my overtime looking, or do I have a number of people that are approaching overtime? By auditing that information, you can really save a lot of dollars on overtime costs and overstaffing or understaffing as well. And then using that productivity data to help strategic decisions. Do you need to staff in an area a little bit more? Are you going to have a few people out on vacation and you want to make sure that you've got appropriate coverage? So automating will help with a number of areas in the time and attendance. And through automation, you're using computers with the click of a mouse. Imagine you or your clients having all time entries sent to the payroll service or in-house accounting systems updated at the same time, getting that information to payroll quickly and seamlessly, putting it into a lot of steps. Those multiple steps start with perhaps adding up a time card, coordinating that, collating that information, opening up payroll, calling that in, or entering it into the system. What we do bring is a interface that will take care of that, often with just a click of the mouse. Through automating time and attendance and labor management, you get the ROI. ROI is going to be the return on investment. Obviously, a time and attendance system is going to cost a certain amount of money, but when you look at that return on the investment, how much you're going to save versus how much you're going to spend, you can really quickly get your investment back when you're doing an automated time and attendance. And that's through the time card audit savings, the time it takes to add up time cards, lost time savings, having, unfortunately, employee time theft, and we can get rid of that through some different types of biometric time clocks, or even just have moving from a spreadsheet hours entry where the employee is actually going to a time clock. Even that will streamline some of that employee time theft because the software is simply going to take that and calculate it based on those actual timestamps. And then the mistakes that people make, human error factor. People make mistakes in adding time cards up, entering time in manually. That type of calculation comes into play when we're talking about savings in the system. So a sample audit, a savings. So let's say we've got a company with 100 employees, and instead of figuring out what the time cards are supposed to be, we're letting the computer take care of that, the software take care of that. Let's say it takes 6 minutes per card each pay period. We're going to just reduce that to 1 minute. We're looking at total minutes saved weekly of about 500 minutes. If we look at a payroll clerk who might make more than $12 an hour, but we've just set it at 12, we're looking at a weekly and monthly savings of nearly $100 and $400. So just in that area alone, it's a pretty good return on investment. When we talk about the human error, making mistakes in entering or calculating, we're looking at, again, probably around $100 to $400 in savings for that 100-employee company, and that's with employees that are making averaging $10 an hour. If you've got higher or perhaps a little bit lower, that's the average hourly rate. It can be higher or lower with that savings. And then lost time or time theft is where wages are recaptured by the system's rounding and restriction capabilities, and that's restricting employees from clocking in too early, or restricting them or making sure that they took the appropriate breaks so they don't have to pay them for time spent when they were taking lunches or taking long lunches. All of those different little pieces of time theft can really add up, and so that's why on this particular calculation at even just an hourly rate of $10 with average wage overpaid daily at $1, you're looking at $500 a week for just that 100-employee company with a $2,000 per month savings. So we add all these up, almost $2,800 in monthly savings, $33,000 to $34,000 in savings per year. As I said, jumping into this initially, your return on investment on automating for time and attendance will be substantial. I remember when I first started here, within a couple of years, I had a client who really calculated their ROI, and I still remember to this day the quote was very much, I'm reserving judgment because right now the return on investment seems far too high. I can tell that I'm saving that much money, and it was really interesting seeing them move from that manual system to an automated system and just seeing that ROI turn around so quickly for them. With the software that we're tracking the time and attendance on, we've got different types of time clocks, or you'll have choices on some different types of time entry components. That's going to be the conventional time clock here on the left side of your screen. That's just a simple badge, a barcode, mag stripe. The employees swipe the card. They hit the green button for in, red button for out. They can do some department changes on that. So that's more of a conventional time clock. We have some, like I said, biometric time clock options where we've got the device measuring a person's hand is the example on that particular time clock. So that employee actually has to be at that time clock to be accurately clocked in. Recognized and clocked in. There are, again, fingerprints and finger veins and facial recognition biometric options as well. And we do see a lot of organizations moving in that direction, getting away from the badge system. It's easier to know that employee will always have their badge with them when we're doing a biometric option. And then we've also got web-based applications for PDAs or tablets as well. So if there's more of a mobile workforce that we've got, then we've got options for those organizations as well. And then even more so, like I've been here 13 years, a lot of companies are actually moving towards simply having computers that employees are able to go to, and whether that's a kiosk scenario where all employees go to one computer, or we've got a workforce that has employees with their own computers using the computer to clock in and clock out, and really distributing those time entry options across the network. It really depends on the organization and what their needs are and what their logistical setup is for having a lot of computers, or really just having the need for a simple time clock up on the wall that they've got. Some of our latest product news has to do with one of our time and attendance softwares, our Time Master Ascend product, and then the other is our TIA interface. Our interface with our TIA interface is actually a bridge that sits between the time and attendance software, like the Time Master Ascend program, and your in-house payroll, whether that's Sage 100, 300, Sage Abra, BusinessWorks, QuickBooks, or in the Microsoft world, they've got the Dynamics Great Plains, Solomon, AX, and NAV. So there's a lot of different ERP solutions that our TIA interface between and brings data back and forth between those two applications. With our Time Master Ascend feature, along with being a browser-based or can be a web-based solution that employees are able to, or you're able to track employees through a application access via a browser. We've also got timesheet approvals by department, which supports multiple location workers, mobile app fully functioning, which includes GPS. And what that means is we've got the ability to have employees with smartphones clock in and clock out on those devices, and being able to pull that information up and see actually where on a Google map that they actually clocked in and out from. We can set shift replacement parameters in the scheduling. We have a lot of different shift differentials that can be based on hour ranges, locations, and time of shift. So the Time Master Ascend program and all of our solutions are continually being developed, adding additional features that we'll often get from our customers. They'll request some additional features and capabilities that aren't currently in the system, and we'll take that, look at that from a roadmap perspective. It can be determined that that's something that we want to add into the program and develop that. So we're always working with our clients to help us better understand their needs and how our software can be changed to manage those needs. Our TIA interface, which I'm going to have a slide to show that in a minute, but as I said, it sits between the ERP solution and our time and attendance software. Part of the further development that our group did was we're now able of performing employee and time card transfers by groups and types. And what that just means, you may have different groups of employees that you just want to do a payroll run for, and or that's how you typically do your payroll. You can do that payroll transfer from our Time Master software into payroll in groups of employees if you don't want to do them all at once. Users can now supply pay period end dates at the time of time card transfer, so they can actually define what period of time they want to pull from Time Master into payroll. And we're also now capable of user account creations within TIA, eliminating the need for double entry. And what that just means is with our TIA interface, what you're going to do is transfer time, or transfer employees rather, from payroll into the Time Master program. And that just streamlines that further by eliminating that double entry, so you're not adding employee information into payroll and then adding that same information into Time Master. We're able to bring that data over from payroll into Time Master instead of that double entry. In our software, one of our softwares is our Time Master Web and Time Master Ascend program. It is based in a web browser, so it's accessing that software. Managers will have a supervisor dashboard, and what that does, it gives them view into different areas of the software so they can see who's in, what weekly totals, any errors, because employees will always forget to clock in or clock out, and the software will give you the view or capability of seeing what that is. And it's all, what's nice about the software is it's quickly accessible via one page. You don't have to go run reports looking for that information, though you can. It's quickly viewable here as well as on a time card. The time card is really going to be that employee's information for the week, for the pay period, that each manager will be able to see. And what they'll be able to see is if there are any issues, missing punches there as well. We've got approvals that we can have the supervisors do as well, and employees also can verify their time card. We also are going to be able to schedule time for employees when they're going to be gone for vacation or out of the office for any reason. This can be vacation, sick time, employee calls in sick. It can be FMLA. The employee needs to be off work for a period of time to take care of a family member, and we often talk with clients about keep track of the time that that employee is away. You're going to be able to show or be able to audit when an employee is out for FMLA or they've been injured and are going to need to be out for workers' compensation time. You'll be able to track that time. So you're not only just tracking the hours that they work, but you're also tracking the time that the employees should have been at work and aren't, whether that's a paid time off or an unpaid time off like FMLA. With the software, you've also got the ability to schedule employees, and so you'll be able to view those schedules as well, and that'll show you if you've got employees that are out perhaps because of vacation, which is on this sample screenshot, and you can do replacements as well. You can look for replacements in the software. With our Time Master Send program, if you've got employees that are using a computer to clock in and clock out, they also have the ability, if you want to give it to them, to show their availability. It might be you've got part-time employees, or you want to keep employees in part-time status. Maybe they're students and they're just working part-time. They can show when their preference is for working, as well as what their availability is. So we've got clients that have, universities that have students, and they've got classes at different times and different semesters. They want to be able to have those employees say, here's when I'm available, here's when I'm not. So the manager can use that information when they're doing their scheduling. And we pull all of that information that we've got from those different ways the employees are clocking in and clocking out through some powerful reporting. And that's going to give us absence histories, time card reports, see where those hours are being spent. We can have them employees that might be doing some job costing, going to a time clock and checking in on different jobs throughout the day. You'll be able to pull that information into the system and into these reports and track that particular detail. So if you've got a budget for a job that you're working on for a client of yours, you'll be able to have the employees clock into those jobs. You'll be able to track and really see what that variance is from what the budgeted hours were to what the actual hours were. So you can really streamline some of that workflow and get the information you need through the reporting. And so, as I mentioned, we do have job costing as well. It can be part of the software. If you don't do job costing, we don't need to use it. But if you do, we can do jobs and task tracking within the system, and we can customize the naming of the job costing levels as well. So if they're not called jobs and tasks, they're called task and operation. We can change the nomenclature around a little bit and customize that naming of that. And we also do validation of jobs and tasks. So again, back to that, we've got a budgeted amount of time. We can see how that looks. We can do validations on that. If we don't want employees to be able to clock into some specific jobs, if you've only got a group of employees that you want to assign to that job, only they would be able to clock into that job. Our interface. This is what it looks like. It's a screenshot of it, but in any event, it's really two ways, two buttons, and it goes two ways. It transfers time card information to payroll, and we transfer new employee or updated employee information from payroll using our interface. So the process is going to be typically enter in new information for employees or updated information, employee name change, they got married, we need to update their information, or they've departed the company, and you make them inactive in payroll. By updating Time Master, you're going to bring over that new employee information, any role changes that have gone on, as well as organizational information into Time Master. And then when you're ready to run or process payroll, you'll start in Time Master, get the information ready, transfer the time card information over to payroll. It will fill in either the time card entry screen or create a batch within the software that has all the information in there ready to process payroll. So what it does is it takes over that manual entry or import function of processing payroll. It will just fill in the information for you, and that's our TIA interface. So along with the software, as I mentioned in the passion slide, integrity, service, and support is an integral part of our solution. It should be a part of any organization's solution for time and attendance, or really any solution. But we pride ourselves on that. We help our clients or help clients of our business partners. We have over 25 years of industry experience providing our clients with best-in-class practice for consultation and guidance. That consultation starts really in the pre-sales environment, where we're starting to gather needs, defining what is going to be the best solution, and consulting with clients who may have very unique ways that they're tracking time now because they're doing it manually, and showing how that is going to be done in a more automated and rules-based software like our Time Master program. We also have professional implementation and training, so that when a client organization purchases from us, we don't just provide them with software and a manual and say, best of luck to you. What we like to do is do a full implementation, working with them through a project of reviewing what their needs are, what their typically we'll have them fill out a questionnaire that helps us start configuring the software, training them on the software, doing a test period of time where they're working with the new software alongside their other program, so that testing is done. We make sure everything is working appropriately, everybody's been trained appropriately, so that we really streamline that the beginning of using the Time Master program. And then it rolls into our knowledgeable and efficient technical support group. When we've got new clients, they're going to have lots of questions, and over time they will want to work with support staff. They'll be able to. We're open Monday through Friday. We're in California, but we start our day very early, 6 o'clock in the morning, so that we can meet the needs of our clients on the East Coast in different time zones. We've got clients actually down, quite a few actually down in the Caribbean, and throughout that area, as well as up into Canada and also up in Alaska as well. So we've got a few in Hawaii as well. So we're all over the place from a time zone perspective, and we've got support staff that work with the employees as well. And that's kind of a very broad overview of the value of automating your time and attendance, a little bit about us and our solution. And if you would like a more detailed demonstration of the software, I would be happy to provide that for you. This is my contact information here. And that's the end of my presentation. I do appreciate your time today. And I would open it up any questions that anybody have. And Adrian, if you'd like to take over that particular spot, that'd be great.
Thank you, Ken. That's a great presentation. And just to remind the audience, there's a raise your hand button next to your name on the webinar pane. If you have any questions and you feel comfortable speaking live, go ahead and press that button next to your name. That's the raise your hand button. And then if you feel more comfortable, there's a question mark button that you can click on and indicate your question via text. And while we're reviewing questions, Ken, what products does this work well with? I know we named a couple of them in the beginning, but if we could just remind the audience of the different integrations that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. In the Sage world, we do BusinessWorks, Sage 50, Sage 100, Sage 300, Sage 500, Sage HRMS, Sage Abra HRMS. Those are the Sage worlds, and then even within that, we've got some different modules that's primarily payroll, but we do have manufacturing and other modules that we'll work with. Outside of the Sage world, when we move over to Microsoft, we've got Microsoft Dynamics Great Plains, Dynamics SL, Dynamics AX, Exapta, and Navision or NAV. Within the GP Great Plains, we've got payroll, manufacturing, as well as project accounting, and those are the primary ones there. And then again, we do the AX and NAV. We also have a interface with QuickBooks as well. So if we're working with QuickBooks, we have that. And if we've got an outsourced payroll provider like an ADP or a Paychex or a Creative Solutions, which is now Reuters, we've got simple exports that will bring data out of TimeMaster for a file that can be uploaded or sent to ADPs or Paychecks or your local payroll provider. And then we also have some standard import capabilities. So while our TIA interface is primarily for those ERP solutions, when we do have outsourced payroll, which a lot of organizations do utilize outsourced payroll, we also have exports for those as well.
And I do have a poll up. If the audience could just take a brief moment and answer this question: are you interested in learning more about Sierra Workforce Solutions Labor Management? It'd be great if we could have you answer that question. And then we do have a question, Ken. Can you explain how this product syncs with QuickBooks Financial and QuickBooks Point of Sale?
With QuickBooks Financial, we've got a, similar to the TIA interface, we've got a separate interface that has been developed that will, through an export gets created in the TimeMaster program, and then the interface for QuickBooks takes that information and loads it into payroll. For the POS system, I'll be honest, I'm not familiar with that particular program, so there is likely a simple import that would be done on that, and it would just be a matter of utilizing the export within the TimeMaster Send program, for example, to get the data out of TimeMaster and into that. But not being familiar with the QuickBooks POS system, I don't want to say what that is because I'm not certain. I can certainly review that and get the answer for you, and I can, if you want to let me know who that is, I can send the information to you, Adrian, and you can then forward it on.
And thank you, Jerry, for that question. We will have that question aligned with Jerry's name on the registration report, so we can follow up with you, Jerry, with more detail on that. And then just one moment, if the audience could take to answer the question on the screen, that would be great. And then I have a couple more. If we could just take a moment to answer this question as well. I'm going to look and see if there's any more questions. It's like 67% have voted. And how long, Ken, does an implementation typically take? What kind of process do you go through when you're implementing this solution?
Okay. There is a typical implementation is going to be 4 to 8 weeks. I see most of them happen within about 4 to 6 weeks. A kind of a standard process is purchase is done, implementation manager is assigned, there's a meeting within a week where a questionnaire is sent out. We ask that you fill that out and get that back to the implementation manager. What they do is they'll schedule a meeting, they'll review that questionnaire. During that period of time, we're getting software and hardware out to you as a client, and the software then gets installed. We are in California. We do our implementations remotely, so we're going to be utilizing a similar product to this GoToMeeting. It enables us to really get in and do things remotely, and it's a really good time saver and obviously an expense from a travel perspective and the cost of that, though we'll do on-sites as well, on-site implementations. So the next step is going to be installing the software and configuring that. Part of the training on the administrative side is done within that. As we start working on the configuration, we're going to have the end user or there as well working with us to help configure the software so that they get a knowledge of that administrative section of the software. They'll then do a more standard training session where we'll go over management use of the software. and then have a test period where a smaller group of employees will use the system in a test environment so that we can make sure everything is calculating correctly. We'll do some test runs with the payroll interface to make sure everything is processing correctly and testing that as well. During that first payroll run, when we're using the system, we like to be online with the payroll person doing that transfer, so if there were any issues, we'll be able to look at that. We often have one of the programmers that is involved with the interface development on the line as well, so if there are any issues, they can quickly look at it and determine what might be the issue. Then there will be a secondary training done for end users. That can be employees that are going to be using the system to do that as well. And that schedule is done with consultation with the customer to determine what are the best time frames for that. So that 4 to 8 week period of time is meant to bring people up to speed on the system, test it, make sure everything is calculating correctly and adjustments are made, and then have them migrate onto using it full-time with all of the employees. That's going to be a typical installation. When we have larger being 3,000 to 5,000 employees or 2,000 to 4,000 employees, something like that, that time frame might go out a little bit longer because we're doing an initial stage of testing with a smaller group, then migrating it out to another larger group of employees, and then further on. And sometimes that just takes a little bit longer. But a typical installation is going to be anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks.
And then what are the ballpark costs? If you could just give us a typical example, maybe of a QuickBooks customer and then also of a Sage customer, a recent customer that purchased this, use them as an example, because I'm sure costs vary depending on the requirements.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, our typical costs are going to be for let's say, 100-employee organization utilizing QuickBooks that they don't need a browser base and they're not doing biometrics. Then we're probably looking at around, and this would include annual support and enhancements as well as an implementation cost. So it's the total cost, not here's software and hardware, and I'll tell you what the other piece is later. The general cost is going to be $6,000 to $8,000 for a 100-employee organization using a basic system. Perhaps a little bit larger organization is going to be 12 to 15, and it really will depend on the types of time clocks and how many. I've had really small organizations that needed over 10 to 15 time clocks, and you know, the time clocks are, if your average cost is probably going to be about $1,000 per time clock, you know, you can quickly swell the cost of the program up. What I've told people is that you can calculate generally about, let's see, you can generally calculate about $20 per employee, $20 to $70 per employee. Now that's a rather broad range, but and that will depend again the number of time clocks. But you know, we've sold systems as low as $3,000 up to for a 100-employee organization where they're up to around $15,000. So that goes well over the $70 per employee. So if I would say, generally speaking, if you were to do a calculations of about $35 to $45 per employee is pretty good calculations on a ballpark figure. And I would be happy to provide a more detailed quote, needs analysis, and get you a far clearer picture of what that cost is going to be. But I would say $40 to $50 is per employee is probably a good place to start an initial calculations of the cost. Now we do have, for organizations that have a very small group of employees, I'm talking like less than 25, We have another option. The Time Master Ascend program can also be accessed via a software as a service environment. So instead of purchasing software, you're able to access the software on a monthly basis, and that has a cost of per employee per month. So, and that's active employees. So if, let's say you have 10 employees, we typically charge the typical cost for software as a service is $3 per employee per month. So then your calculation on that would be, if you got 10 employees, it's $30 a month for accessing the software. We get it set up. Similar implementation. The employees clock in, clock out. We take a snapshot at some point during the month, and whatever that active number of employees is for that month is what gets billed out. So it can fluctuate. If you've got 10 to start with, move up to 15, go down to 5. It will just vary based on what the active number of employees is during a month.
And I'm sure it's very helpful to have a local channel partner that is specific to the ERP software that the customer is using to engage with you to successfully implement the system with the particular accounting software, ERP software that customer owns?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The business partner who has the knowledge of that particular software, we've got good knowledge of it, but we prefer our business partners that are working with their clients who have that ERP solution, let's stage 100 or stage 300, for example, or QuickBooks. They know their customer, they know the software, and we work very closely with them during an implementation to make sure things are accurately and efficiently installed.
And I do have a question. Can you help with job costing? Does this work with a job costing module?
Yes. Well, we have a job costing module in the software, so we can have employees clocking into and tracking time towards jobs that they work on throughout the day. We can then pull that information out, and we do integrate that into some various job costing modules, as well as third-party applications like Winsoft. Winsoft is one of the applications, third-party applications that we'll write into. And we do have developers on staff, so if we have an application that we have not done an implementation or integration with, rather, we can very easily do a custom interface for that particular module. But we do have the job cost module within stage 100 that we have interfaced with as well.
And then, do you have an affiliate program?
Yes, we do. It's a business partner program that we do offer, and it's really quite simple. We look for business partners who want to learn a little bit more about time and attendance, but maybe they don't want to be the experts at it. They want to utilize us for that. But we also have other business partners that do want to get to know time and attendance and really take it on as really one of their products. And so we'll work with each business partner to fit the needs that they have. A majority of our business partners do want us to be the experts and manage the implementations and presentation of product to clients, and we work very well in that environment. But if we do have some business partners that have taken a more active hands-on approach to our labor management solutions.
Thank you. And I don't see any more questions. At this time, I wanted to thank everybody for attending today. And if you do have a question, please go ahead and raise your hand or indicate your question. We'll take a few moments to wait for those. And Ken, did you want to close out with anything further? Did you have any other thoughts?
Just have a great weekend, first of all, because that's the most important thing, is enjoying your life and having a good time. But I suppose more importantly, and germane to this, as you see, my information is again up on the screen. I would be happy to have a more detailed conversation with any of you about your particular needs or your clients' needs, a little bit more detail. We can talk a little bit more about pricing and what that really will look like for clients in different environments. And so please do feel free to take down my information and drop me a line email-wise, and I can call you back or call me, and I'll be happy to chat with you, and we can set up instead of a PowerPoint presentation, do perhaps a software demonstration. I can show you some of the different software. We could just chat a little bit more about our labor management solutions.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, everybody, and thanks for joining us in this short week. And we'll be back in touch with you. We did record this, so we'll send you the recording as well, and we'll be in touch. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Ken.